Good afternoon. Welcome to the Morris Brandon GOTeam meeting, where we will follow the agenda as it's been emailed to you and publicly noticed. I would like to remind everyone that this is a meeting of the GOTeam. Only members of the team may participate in the discussion. Any members of the public present are here quietly to observe. For the members of the GOTeam, please identify yourself when you speak. I am pleased to call this meeting of Morris Brandon GOTeam to order at 3:32 p.m. Our first order of business is to call roll. The secretary will now call roll.
Please respond present when your name is called. Principal Bland,
Present.
Eric Bourne,
Present.
Chris Fellows,
Here.
Kim Ball,
Here.
Miss Moses,
Here.
Miss Jordan,
Present.
Dr. Forehand,
Present.
Tiffany. Let's see, I think
Don't
she
see
just,
Tiffany yet.
okay. I think she was having issues joining on the link, but I'll check in with her.
I had to update the calendar invite. I feel like it didn't have so I did it right before. So maybe she can check back. Sorry about that.
Sounds good. And Melissa Mako.
Present.
If anybody wants to snip the address and maybe email it to her real quick, I'm on one computer at home actually today. So if you have a second,
Okay, I can do that for sure in a minute.
you can keep running it.
And a quorum is present.
Okay. Thanks, Ashley. Let me know. I only have her email, so if you can.
I let someone in with a phone number a minute ago, so that could be.
Okay, great.
Okay.
This team will only be able to take official action if a quorum present. Ashley, is there a quorum present?
Quorum is present.
Great. Okay, so now our first order of business is to approve the agenda. This is provided to you and copies are here. You can see on the screen. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No, the only thing I see on there is that budget meeting schedule. I don't quite know what that is, but maybe that's just our next round of GOTeam meetings or the training schedule.
That was just like this meeting and then the next, we have
Okay, so
a
it's
lot
just
of
like reviewing what we have coming up. Got it.
just a calendar because we have a lot of meetings coming up.
Yeah, I
We
got
need
you.
all of them.
Right.
We can go over that.
I saved you guys one. I'll tell you about it in a minute.
Well, you saved us that training, so thank you. Okay, may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. A second?
I second.
Thank you.
All right, who's
All
the
in
second?
favor? That's Ms. Moses.
Moses.
Got it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Just
Aye.
ignore my dog and doorbell. Okay, so a motion has been approved. We will review and approve the meeting minutes for our last meeting. The minutes have been provided to you. Are there any corrections? If there are no further corrections, may I have a motion to approve the previous meeting's minutes?
Motion to approve. Second by Dr. Forehand.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Any opposed? Nope. Okay, great. No, this motion has been approved. Okay. And then, those are all the action items we had. So now we'll just move on to discussion items. And the discussion items are just talking about the budget meeting schedule since we have so many GOTeam meetings coming up. And then Jay will talk about the budget presentation.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Kim. Thank you everybody for being on. I'm going to do my best to make today not as painful as we need it to be. This does not need to be a full hour. I think that to kind of give you an idea, we are very well ahead of the game. And I'll talk about that as we get to our budget piece. We're going to flip the agenda just a little, and I'm going to do a progress report first. We're going to look at winter map results. And then we're going to jump into just the budget allocation, which is just a very short 1 or 2 slides. I'm basically going to show you what APS has given us in regards to federal and local dollars. We're going to look at the student base weight. We're going to look at the individual weights, and I'm just going to show you how much money we have, to support our students next year. So I want you to compare it from last year as well. I have both of those templates. You'll take a look, ask some questions, and then we'll close it out. Okay. As always, feel free to come off mute or stop me at anything. We do have public comment at the end. I don't know if we're going to have anybody extra on that's going to want to talk, Kim, but let's just give them a couple minutes at the end to see if anybody wants to share out anything. All right. Let's see if I can figure out the best way to change the slides. Did that change the slide for you all?
Yep.
Okay, good. Again, I don't have my dual computers today, and I've got a lot of emails and stuff coming in. All right, here's where we are today. We talked a little bit about this. The good news is we did our strategic plan, and we've ranked our objectives. And let's just review those briefly. All right, here's our strategic plan that we worked hard on. All right, take a look at it again. Take a look at our 4 strategic goals. If you remember, we talked about improving student performance in ELA, talked about improving our African American student subgroup and growth. All right, the next one had to do with students in their school climate survey, feeling comfortable going to most or all of the adults in school for help and increasing that. And then we talked about staff engagement and increasing our engaged staff. And we are in these windows right now. You can take a look at the 6 buckets down there. And remember, these were targets and that we pulled off of our key performance indicator document. And we ranked these, and we found out, we figured as a team that these were the 4 most important. And I do agree with that. And below those are going to be the strategies. So this is our new strategic plan. All right. We also ranked our objectives, if you remember. I had to kind of send it out again because I didn't do it right the first time, but this is accurate. This is the slide that we ranked from 1 to 12, all being very important to our school and our students. But most notably, numbers 1, 2, and 3 really all aligned to instruction, subgroups, exceptional education, and it kind of goes from student supports and then just sort of down to teachers and family supports. And I love that flow. This is what's going to drive our funding, where we want to place money and where we want to spend it. And I think it's a great topic. I will tell you, we did a great job of doing this because there are still schools that are working on this now and as we speak. So the reason why we're able to talk about our budget today is because we have all of this done and approved and voted on. So shout out to you all for doing that. All right, everybody can still hear me, right? Because I don't have the screen with your cameras on there. Just somebody say something good.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep,
awesome.
audio good.
Thank you. All right, I want to show you this score really quickly. This was posted on Monday. The Georgia Office of Student Achievement, which is GOSA, which is a little different than the Georgia Department of Education, but they work together, assigned a school score to every school in the state of Georgia. This is our CCRPI score from GOSA, not the Georgia Department of Ed, but it is posted on the CCRPI website. This is all the hard work and dedication that we did last year. And our strategic plan and our key performance indicators are what's going to continue to push us forward. So I did want to show that and share that because that's great news. And let's take a look at our most recent data summary. I do want everybody to know that if you're going to join my parent coffee talk tomorrow, I'm going to review some of these similar slides. As always, I will present this to the GOTeam first. So our community will never hear about budget or even really data until GOTeam hears it first. So feel free to ask questions or share anything. Remember, the winter map window has really one of the highest correlations to how we're going to do on the Georgia milestones. We've done a lot of work since the map data has come out. I always want to share that we have other experts on this call and on this GOTeam, people like Ms. Moses, And our other staff, like Mr. Forehand and Ms. Jordan, are all probably able to speak on our student data and even particular subgroups. So I welcome their feedback as well if they want to hear anything. Okay. The data department put this together. I do want to make note that it is letting a few people in. You can read some of the notes on the side. I actually don't need to read them for you. I want to make sure you know that this is reading. All right. This is the rankings of the schools, on kind of the left. I don't usually put those there, but the data department gave me this and gave me permission to share this with our parents. So I feel like it's okay. I didn't make this slide deck, actually. It's great to see kind of where we are in the individual grades and in the rankings. So you can see the overall school there. And then you can see the individual grade rankings from second to fifth, as you know that only second through fifth take MAP growth. So this data encompasses 573 students in second through fifth grade. And you can see our proficiency is 39 plus 37, right? Kind of give you that 75, 76 number. And we'll keep going. Here's math. You can kind of see the top schools and where we align. You see the number of students that tested, beginning, developing, proficient, and distinguished. Focus on math a little bit. Take a look at the percentage of distinguished learners in math versus reading. There's a good 10 or 11% swing there. Okay. Take a look at the below grade levels at the bottom. You can kind of see where the beginning level learners lie. Very few in second grade. Second grade did such an incredible job on this last map testing window. They're in the 92nd percentile achievement-wise for the entire 160 kids, which is awesome. And then you can sort of see how it matriculates up to third, fourth, and fifth. And you guys see the distinguished lines, how they get a little smaller as we move up, and the yellow gets a little bigger for math. Okay. I like this because it does show achievement versus growth. Okay. It's going to show the quadrants where our school is in the top right. This is for reading. Here we are for math. Shows the growth target, the percentage, median growth percentiles of 57. You know that 40 to 60 is typical, 63 for reading. Okay, so we're a typical growth for math and typical high growth for reading. We always want to be in the top right quadrant. All right, I want to show you, our SWD students are a big subgroup, and they did really well last year, and they met their targets, and they got the yellow star in CCRPI, one of our subgroups who did really, really well. You can see where our SWD students are in the dark orange on the left, and our non-SWD, we actually call them exceptional education students, will be on the light orange on the left. You can see the difference in proficiency. Okay, the growth for math SWD wasn't as high as it was for reading. You can see that all students showed pretty good growth in math and reading. We're talking about proficiency here. So this is only capturing kids that are proficient or distinguished. Now, these are some other subgroups that we have economically disadvantaged. Okay, you can see that on the right side, economically disadvantaged and not economically disadvantaged for reading and math. If anything stands out to you on that, you can call it out. We also see that good proficiency. Remember, this is just proficiency. We're not talking about beginning or developing. We're talking about students that move from really developing to proficient if you're going from 28 to 38% in math. That's a 10% increase in proficient students that are economically disadvantaged in math. Keep looking. And this is going to tell a little different story. I want to talk about this. APS has developed a dashboard that's going to give us a really good indicator that if CCRPI were snapped today, would we hit our targets? Okay. I want to remind you that 2 years ago, we really exceeded our targets, super high. Last year, we met some of them, but not all of them. We had some gaps in math. If you take a look here, it's going to talk to you about our specific subgroup students in the subject that they're missing right now if we were to have CCRPI snapshot. SWD is a good example on the bottom. We met our 3% gain last year and even got the yellow star, which means we outperformed that. When you outperform your goal, that target gets higher and higher, and you can see that we are a little ways off now from meeting our special ed goals for reading and math at the bottom, talking about proficiency. Okay, proficiency equates to just points. So I want to talk about this for a second. If you look at the right side, math, it says 21.56 points for SWD. That's how far off we are. That means 35 bands. A band is moving from one proficiency level to the other. It can be beginning to developing, developing to proficient, proficient to distinguished, but we need 35 bands moved. One student can move 2 bands if they go from beginning to proficient. Very hard to do. Students can very easily, not easily, but much easier, move from proficient to distinguished or developing to proficient. But we need 35 bands moved. Okay. And it's great that Dr. Forehand's on here as our special education kind of leadership team representatives, and he can see where we are because we're making great growth, but it's always challenging this time of year to make sure that we know exactly what's needed. If you look at Hispanic math, that's another area, okay? Hispanic math and reading. 16 points. We need to move 23 bands for math and 13 bands for reading, which is much more doable. You know, you look at 20 or below is something that we can do. We are looking at the large amount of students sitting in yellow. We need to move them to green. Multiracial, we need very few points. That might just be a couple bands. I don't know why that's on there, but that's very few. If it's EL or Asian Pacific right now, that's blue. That's showing that we're exceeding our target. Okay. So that just means that we've met it and exceeded it. So we're on track. Science is looking good, but science is the correlation between MAP and milestones has not always been there. So we're making a lot of moves in science and not using MAP as our kind of our indicator. So if you had to look at this for my leadership team that's on here, we see that mathematics is a focus for some of our subgroups. And we've made a lot of moves recently to begin to target those and those needs. I know I'm talking a lot. If anybody wants to share anything, come on off if you want to, or I will just keep rolling. Okay. Let's talk about the budget now, because this has got to align to this. Okay, and this is going to definitely align. Just want to show you this. As we look at those numbers, what do we see with students reading on grade level or subgroups making academic progress? Exceptional ed students making yearly gains in literacy and math targets, science. Okay, this is a great snapshot right now of where our school is. If you look overall, we're in great shape. As always, right? We're always going to be full points, or as most as we can get for all students in content mastery. But we've got to drill down to some of these subgroups, and we do continue to. Let's talk about our budget. I just want to share a couple of quick things really quickly. Number one is you were asked to do the district wanted to take on the budget allocation meeting, and they wanted all GOTeam members to jump on Zoom, I think next Wednesday at 5:30 to do the budget allocation. And they would give you this the specific schools. They would talk about it and they would do your whole training and everything together. I felt confident enough with our GOTeam and the work that we've done since we've done our strategic plan and we've ranked our priorities and we looked at our data that I could do the budget allocation. The only ask that I had of y'all, and the district did too, was that you watch that little video that I sent out. So if you don't mind just watching that to make sure you understand how the budget allocation process works, then I've saved you the time and energy and you don't have to jump on the Zoom call or do that next week with the district. All right. If we did that, I wouldn't have to have had this meeting. We could have canceled it. But I felt like we could stick on for 30 to 45 and go through this. Okay. So let's talk about it. And again, I know I'm talking a lot, so just tell me if we're tracking, if anybody needs to say anything. Hopefully you guys can all still hear me because I can't see any faces right now.
We can hear.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Okay, here we are. Budget allocation meeting. Let's just take a look at where we are going from here, because that was a little bit of an agenda item. We're going to have another meeting in February where I'm going to show you how I'm going to use the money. We're going to go through our projections. I'm going to show you a staffing document, and I'm really going to show you kind of like how I want to spend this money for next year. My vision is going to be aligned to the strategic plan and our key performance indicators. Then we're going to come back to me in another meeting in February and give me a little bit of feedback. If anything needs to be shifted, hopefully the feedback comes in this meeting I can come to this meeting with the feedback ready to go, and then I'll have my staffing conference. And the staffing conference is basically I go in front of HR, our boss, all the program heads, got about 15 people in the room. They go through my template. They ask me 50 questions. I have all the answers to them, and they sign off and say you're good to go for FY27. All right. Then I can begin to post positions if we need to. We can begin to discuss abolishments if we have to. I follow the kind of the whole timeline for budget, and then we finally vote on it in early March. And then that is the work of GOTeam. We've done a great job on it. Let's
Jay,
get
so
into
just
it.
to confirm, we have February 12th, February 26th, and then March 12th for the next 3 meetings for GOTeam.
I think that is great. There's a possibility that we only will need that. I think that's
2 of
good.
the 3, right?
Yeah, but we're probably gonna need all of them. We're gonna use 2 in February, and then we'll vote in March. Okay, so I think it'll be good, but I promise you, at the vote, like that one won't take long. We just got to get on, and I just want to have that. If we think we can vote on it in February, that second one, then we don't need the March one. So let's keep
That's
them.
fine. I just wanted to make sure people know that we have,
Yeah.
this is like the busy time for GOTeam. If you're a new member, like getting the budget done is the crunch time.
Right. And I think Kim and I figured out why the GOTeam wasn't responding to the training, because they're putting together their own training, but they did send me that video from last year. So that is the video we watch. All right, here's the what we're doing and why. Okay, you can read that on your own. I'm looking for alignment with our strategic plan and our KPIs. This is the old strategic plan picture, so it's probably not the best example for this slide, but it just talks a little bit about my role versus the GOTeam's role. Take a second to look at that. Pay attention to things like positions and resources and not people. That can always be a little challenging. Okay. The word's collaboration, like we always do. I'm going to keep going. Hopefully we read that.
Good.
Here's our summary. Here's our budget. Take a look at that third box. The proposed budget for the general operations of the school for next school year are reflected at just under $14 million. I'll give you the exact amount, $13,944,822. It's a pretty healthy amount. I like to see that number. You probably are curious how that aligns to where we've had in the past. This investment plan accommodates a student population that is projected to be 904 students, which is an increase of 16 students over last year. Okay, let's talk a little more about it. Now, I'm going to show you our budget allocation in just a second. You're going to see 3 tabs. The left side over here, hopefully you can see my cursor. The left side is this year's allocation. You'll see our enrollment. You'll see our total earned in the per pupil price. Pay attention to the base weight, because that's correct. The middle box is going to be the allocation we had last year, and this is going to be the difference. You're going to see the difference in students, funding, price per pupil, all of that. Here we are. We have over $400,000 more than we had last year. If you remember last year, we were able to fund every position that I've ever wanted. I like to say that. Of course, I can always find more, but everything from MTSS to another gifted teacher, right? To more homeroom teachers, to another counselor. I've gone on and on about this. So how great is it to open up a budget and see an additional $417,000 in there? Okay, let's talk about it just for a second. About our enrollment projection. They projected me a little bit lower than this, really at 892. And I pushed back on them a couple weeks ago and said, give me 14 more or 12 more. And they did. 12 students is a lot, 12 times $6,000. And that was because I was opening up about 12 to 16 school choice spots in K2. School choice are general administrative transfers. Of course, I set my budget before I did that. And this has never happened before. And this is good for Kim to know, and Ashley and PTO people, that the district came back and said, for the first time, we are not able to accept general administrative transfers at the primary campus grades, K2. They said that's because according to their documents, we're at 90% capacity. I don't fully agree with that, but they weren't going to budge. So there's a lot of people in the city of Atlanta that were trying to come to Morris Brandon in administrative transfer or have been coming to our school tours for those, and they're a little disappointed. I know they're calling the school, things like that. But I did want you to know that that was going to hopefully push us to a little bit more. But right now, we are shooting for 904 students, and that's a lot for us. We've never started the school year with over 900, except for my first year here when we had over 1,000. Okay. Um, Questions about anything I just said before I kind of dig into this document?
How many do we have now, today,
Students,
students?
we have 933 minus 20 pre-K. So 913. Okay. Now, sounds like
does our increase, roughly $200 per pupil track to what other schools are getting? I realize every school's weighted average is depending on their like cohort mix and all that stuff, but is the direction of travel sort of net up like across the district in terms of funding per pupil?
Great question. Funding per pupil, yes. So that is tracking. The good news is a couple changes this year. That base pay weight per pupil, it doesn't matter what school you're at, that is the same, and it's the same across every school. Additionally, every school is paying the same price per teacher this year. It's the average salary. If you remember in years past, Morris Brandon had to pay a little bit more per teacher because of years of experience and degrees that it had up in the north side, really. But it is tracking. Every school that is similar to a Morris Brandon type school did see an increase in funding. Lots of schools lost different types of funding, though. They lost some EIP funding. We learned at the very end that there was an adjustment to the numbers, and some schools lost a lot of money for EIP. There were some schools that lost some title funds, but for the most part, if you're a non-title school, really every school has the same student base weight, but money is up, and that's good. That's a good tax, healthy tax base. And then knowing that also, in 2 years, or really next year, I think it's next year. I mean, there are several schools that are closing, which could be helping the budget for other schools that are remaining open.
Wait, what is EIP again? Oh, sorry.
Go first, Chris, and then I'll go to Ashley.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just getting a chance to look at this live. I mean, it looks like the base per pupil weight amount 5,964 versus 6,2 is basically flat, but it looks like gifted being meaningfully up. 40 some odd kids is doing a lot of work in terms of increasing sort of average dollars per pupil.
Right. So that's a good call out, because the way schools like Brandon earn our money, and I tell my staff this all the time, is that gifted weight. I mean, that's the highest weight of anything you're going to see on there outside of EIP. But then also look at the kindergarten weight, right? Those are both 0.6s. So that's the additional funds that we're getting for kindergarten and gifted. And when you have 285 gifted students, which is an increase of 40 kids, plus you're getting another 165 kindergartners in, that continues to help with that healthy funding. So you're right. What were you going to say, Ashley?
Just wanted to, I couldn't remember what EIP, the abbreviation stood for.
Right.
I know I've heard it multiple times, but I couldn't remember. So
yeah, that's great. That's a great question.
Fresh.
Early,
EIP,
go ahead.
Go ahead,
Early
Moses.
intervention program, and kiddos
Thank
qualified based on their percentile, like being in the bottom 30th percentile plus some other pieces.
Okay, got it. Because I saw ours lowered by, it looks like 10 pupils, which resulted in a 60,000 decrease. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good call out. That's actually a good problem to have, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Maybe Ms. Moses can explain that. I will tell you the state does fund EIP. So there are schools that have 200 or 300 kids that are in EIP, and it brings in millions, right? Our school doesn't have quite as many. We're projected at having 47 next year. We'll probably have more than that, but that's at the start. But the idea is that students matriculate through and they come out of EIP, right? And they're not in that lower 30th percentile anymore. The PC has been, they have so few EIP kids now at PC, it's like you can count them on one hand. It's pretty impressive that they've moved those kids out of there. So 3-5 are always going to have more because we get newer kids sometimes at 3-5 that haven't been at Brandon since kindergarten, or they already enter with a plan or an EIP. So one thing I want to, yeah, go ahead.
I guess does it matter where they put the kids in the grade levels? Because it's hard for me to believe that we're going to go next year, we're going to have 165 kindergartners and we're going to have 167 first graders.
Right. You think that's a lot or little?
I think we have kindergartners that come and then leave, right? Like we have a big kindergarten class, but we have some people who just come for kindergarten.
Well, I don't know about that so much. I don't know about the data on that. I don't know about a ton of kids that leave after kindergarten. That's not something
Well,
that
I mean,
tracks with
this year
me necessarily.
it was 10, it's just
Well, I'll
saying
say
that.
this. I'll say this. You can look at the year before. So that's the middle column, right? We had 168 kindergartners to start the year, and they're saying we're going to have 167 in first. One thing that I'll be able to show you next time we come is I'm going to show you my staffing document that's going to lay out, because this is good questions, Kim, because one of our KPIs is keeping these class sizes 18 to 22. My goal is to take the numbers that are given to me by the expert stenographer or whatever he does, whatever that title is called, and then to try and make our class sizes 18 to 22. And I'm going to show you that document and how it looks. But I can really only kind of go off of what they give me. I will tell you, fourth grade right now has 6 teachers, and they only have 111 kids. That is the grade level that started right after the pandemic. I mean, that has tracked all the way through. Next year, they're projected at only having 113. So I have to look at moving teachers off of 5th grade next year down to 3rd, because 3rd's going to have they're going to have 140 kids next year, and then we have to kind of build their grade level. Or sorry, 4th grade, because 4th grade is now getting all those kids. So we're going to have do some shifting around, if that makes sense.
I guess that was my question. It's like usually our kindergarten class is the biggest class, but they're projecting first grade to be bigger than kindergarten. And so if we take these numbers as is, we got to think about like the staffing and what if what if they're wrong and we like come in with like 150 first graders and like 180 kindergartners, right? Because I
And
don't
that's a great
know.
question. That's a great
Have we
question.
ever had a
Every year.
kindergarten class be less
Yeah.
than first grade?
Maybe, I don't know. My goal is that we're hitting the overall number, the 904, right?
Right, but it depends, but it determines your staffing, right? Hiring for a first grade teacher is very different than hiring for a fifth grade teacher.
Right. I guess my answer to that would be don't carry that weight for you, because that's kind of what I do, right? That's what our job is. That's what the leveling process is for. And that's why I'm excited to kind of talk to you about what our carryover is going to be next year and how much money on top of this cushion we're going to have in case we come under to be able to pay that back. And I want to be able to show you all of our staffing and how that looks. And I'll kind of do that in the next one. But you're right. It is always a gamble right now. And I pushed us to have 14 more kids. We're not getting school choice in K2. And we want to make sure that, when I film videos and do school tours and talk about our CCRPI and put flyers out there, there's a reason why. Our school is only as healthy budget-wise as how many kids decide to come here. So when I say, number one choice for all school students that live within our public school zone, I'm serious about that. But all great questions. All great questions. The goal is to hit 904. When we lose kids in 4th to 5th, that hurts too. That number going from 156 to 113 next year, that's a huge swing. That's 2 full classes, right? We need those 156 to go to 5th grade in 2 years, and not drop down. That 113 is just lower than general because that was that post-pandemic. But I like to see 150 in every grade level at a minimum.
So Jay,
All right.
are we losing kids transitioning to 5th grade to private school?
Yes, we lose a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. I can tell you I've done more private school applications this year than I've done in a long time. Most are
Okay.
fifth, several are 4th, several.
Mhm.
I don't get pre-K to 3 because they don't have to come to the principal, but we don't have too many. And if they do, typically a teacher will reach out to me and tell me. And sometimes I'll even contact the parent. Hey, what can we do to help? Keep you here. And it's true. We have to do that legwork. I want to
Right.
show you a little bit about the weight, though, in this column. We have 47 EIP. We're projected at 92 special education. Okay. We're projected at 285 gifted language learners or 29. You take those numbers, you multiply it times the base weight times the student success formula. Every kid carries that. Multiply it times the weight. Okay, and that's the additional funds that we get on the right side. Special education weight is super low because we don't get money for special ed. That is a completely separate allotment that they give us. So you're not going to see a lot of weight on that. Any questions just around that and how we get this base weight in the student success formula?
I have a question, and it may be off topic, so you could say just let's cover it another time. But
Sure.
I was thinking about the dyslexia screener, and I wonder if that plays into that number in the special education at all, or is that information that comes up? What happens to that? And that may be a different conversation. But
No, that's okay. We can talk about that really quickly. All my experts are on this call anyway. So you're just asking the special education screener that we are required to give by the state of Georgia because of the new House bill, which we call AMIRA. That when we give that to students, does that number reflect the special education number on here? Is that correct?
yeah, and yeah.
Yeah, well, great question. I will tell you that no, it doesn't. It doesn't really have any impact on that. The Amir, to believe it or not, dyslexia is not one of the 9 special education indicators. Might fall under like other health impairment, but there is no drop down bar for dyslexia and special education, right? That can be managed through accommodations to learning, not necessarily modifications. And dyslexia is not necessarily a reason that students qualify for special ed services at Morris Brandon. What we do want to do is if students get flagged for dyslexia or develop signs of that, is we want to train our teachers and we want to let our parents know that students don't have to go to skank school or speech school or a specialized school, that we have a lot of the same tools and supports in our own building. But there's not really a correlation between that. The correlation, I would say, is that if we have students that are already in exceptional education, which is special education, I'm trying to call it exceptional education now, a lot of those kids are also flagged on the Amira screener, which shows us that we've kind of got the right kids where they need to be, if that makes sense. So we'll see those kids that are already in special ed or exceptional ed get flagged for all sorts of stuff in Amira, which is basically just letting us know that the Amira worked, or at least flagged the kids that we already knew about. But there's not really a correlation between the two. All right, hopefully I answered that in more word salad than less, or less word salad than more. I'm sorry. Let's keep going.
Sorry, I have one more question.
Go ahead, Ashley.
Of the projected pupils, okay, so it says 888 is the current status, but I know we said 913 is the actual number. So I was just wondering what's the delta between the two?
So 904 is the projected. This is what we were last year at this time. This is like last year
Yes.
when I was doing the budget. This is what we were supposed to start this year for. So right now, our projection for the start of the school year, 15 days in, is 904. And you're asking me,
But like right now, I thought we said we are at 933 minus 20 pre-K, which is 913.
yeah, yeah. So are you asking me like, why do I think it's going to be 9? Why did I push for more, or why is it less?
No, I was just wondering why is it this one, the middle column was just what the budget was based on, not the actuals or where we ended with the pupil count?
Yeah, it's never where you end the school year. It's always
Okay.
that first 15 days. So like that was the thing that the guy told me, Kavi, when I said, give me more numbers. Look, I said, we're at 913 right now, and you only have us at 892. He says, yes, right now. But this time last year, or like at the start of the year, you were only at 894. So they
Gotcha.
base your whole budget on the first 15 days, not where you finish the year. Now, luckily, we don't have a hugely transient school that kind of comes in. Some schools are like in super influx all year. They have to base their entire budget. It could be a 50-person swing at the end of the year, and they go back down and the kids come. But, every school deals with typically like their 15-day snapshot. And then honestly, you get so many more kids during the year that you're like, well, I wish I had that money, but you just don't get it.
Gotcha. Okay. But
Yeah.
it is kind of a little bit because we basically have 913 today, but we're losing a big fifth grade class
Big fifth
coming
grade
in with a
class.
smaller fourth grade post-pandemic class
Right.
size,
Right.
but we're not increasing it's kind of impossible to increase the K and first like any huge more without I guess the
anymore. So we're,
capacity number, so it's a little bit
yeah.
challenging.
Yeah, it is. And we're hoping that we get, like, we're going to get new kids, right? And we're hoping that we get new kids sprinkled in across these grade levels to fill them out. School choice was a big one, general administrative transfer, but that we took a little hit in the K2 by not able to get any of those. But I do have some spots open in 3-5. But I just want you to know, everybody, that next GOTeam meeting, I'm going to share with you our carryover and holdover money. That's going to help give us a cushion if we don't hit these numbers, so we don't have to. Okay, I've got that whole plan. I promise. All right, let me show you this really quickly. These are some additional earnings. The big one that I want y'all to pay attention to is the dual campus supplement. We get $500,000 to run the PC. We are going to be the only school in the entire district that continues to get this outside of maybe Sutton, and we just need to make sure that this is a healthy fund to be able to run 2 campuses. This funds program administrators, an assistant principal, or a nurse, and a clerk, or a secretary. So this is critical money for our school that helps to really fill out our PC. Some stipend money from the district for leadership team. And that's really it. We're not getting a whole lot more on here for anything else. No more security grant, by the way. That's being held at the district level. No more transportation money either. We got to pay for those, which we'll have money for. Okay. This is where we were last year. You see that we got the 45K security. I got 32 in transportation. That's some of the ways that they're making up some of these budget deficits.
They pay for the same amount of field trips. Do we know yet? Just
You
curious.
know, that's a good question. We started the year not thinking they were going to do any APS ones, and then they came around with the money. So
Right.
I'm hopeful they will, because there's some schools will never be able to go on a field trip unless APS, funds it through the CEP program. So I'm confident they will. And I will say our foundation has been phenomenal. I mean, they are paying for field trips for our kids. So really, that this is a great example of how private funding in our foundation can really support our school, because we're not getting any field trip money. All right, any questions around this? Because I don't have a whole lot after this. The big meeting will be the next one where I show you our template. I'm going to show you our carryover, which means the money that you're not seeing on this that I'm putting aside to help us out if we come under our budget, because I'm going to owe $5,964 per student that does not come by the 15th day of school. If we come in at 890, that's 14 times about 6,000, right? It's a good amount of money. It's almost 80 grand that we got to pay back. But I'm confident with our amazing teachers and staff and faculty and work and school tours and CCRPI that we're going to continue to get kids coming to our school. All right.
Hey, can you remind us, and I'm sorry if you said it, where does the innovative fund budget line item come from?
Where is that
from
on here?
APS previously called signature?
Oh, signature. Yes. Great question. Innovative. Yes, that's our signature programming funding. They're calling it innovative now, but that's basically our IB, what we earn for our IB signature program. And
Okay.
that's from the district. That's going to fund our IB coordinator, and then
Okay.
anything else that we want to allot to our signature program.
Thank you.
Yeah, good call out on that. I did not even think about looking at that. Thank you. All right. So in the next meeting, I'm going to show you our proposed budget for feedback. I'm going to show you some staffing. I'm going to show you some misalignment on our budget template. I'm going to tell you the big theme right now is it's great news. Okay, I'm just going to say that I've been a principal for 8 years. When I opened up my budget template, my first 4 years, including in the pandemic, we were $300,000 and $400,000 in the red. For the past 2 or 3 years, the budget continues to be healthier and healthier, and that goes directly back to our families and our students. So it is awesome. We have a lot more flexibility, and I'm very excited about that. For funding that comes from the district, we are going to have to abolish a few positions, and those abolishments will be shared at the next meeting because if we don't come in with as many special education students or EIP students or ELL students or whatever funding we get from the district, they may take some of those staffing positions back, or the ones that I don't pay for, or spread them around the district. So for next year, that's going to be special education paraprofessionals, and that's going to be special education interrelated teachers. And we're going to lose, we're going to have to abolish 3 paraprofessionals and 3 special education teachers. And it's not an ideal model. We're sending a lot of IEPs off to Sutton. So we're going to have, we're going to work with HR and work on our staffing. And I'm going to show you my staffing document that's going to help with this. And I'm going to show you hopefully some repurposing, but also kind of discuss what that abolishment looks like, because we are going to be having less teachers for special education next year. Outside of that, we'll go through our grade level numbers. We're going to go through our staffing document. You'll be able to see average class sizes for my plan, and hopefully everything's aligned to our strategic plan and our KPIs. That is all I have. So let me stop sharing, and I'm going to hand it back over to Kim, and we can do a public comment.
Do we have Kim cluster advise before we went to the public comment cluster advisory report or announcements?
Did we have a cluster advisory? I actually can't remember. I don't know if I went to it. So yeah, maybe.
We haven't had one since the last set of announcements we did.
Yeah, I think we're just ahead. So we already
Yeah.
did that probably at the last one. So you are right about that. Thank you.
Okay. So we'll just go the announcement, public comment. I didn't see any.
I think it is only us on here. I do see maybe
see
one other
Ashley.
person. Yep. So why don't we just give it like 30 seconds and see if anybody wants to say anything, or then anybody on our team can share out, and then we'll be good to go for our next meeting.
Well, it's only Ashley. Ashley Portis. Do you have anything to say? She's on mute, so probably not. Okay. Any announcements? Only announcement I have is our next meeting is going to be the 12th, which is the week before break. And so we have reached the end of our agenda. Is there any additional business from anyone? Thanks, Ashley, for logging on to the meeting. We appreciate you. Okay. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Thanks, Erin. A second?
Thanks, Hickam.
Thank you, Melissa. All in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
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 Okay, motion is approved. Meeting is adjourned. It is now 4:19 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.
Bye.